Convener of Election Watch Ghana. Mark, good morning to you. I trust it's all as well.
Yes, everything is fine. Yourself?
Oh, by God's grace, we're also well.
I can see that. I can see you are greasing.
Oh, is it that evident?
Oh, yes, very, very evidential. Very, very evidential. Oh, Derek, what do you think?
Derek, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Senior Communications Member of the NDC.
Derek, I was just reading some messages and one was asking, there are two Dereks. Is it a well-fed or the one who looks well-fed?
Oh.
I was like, oh, no,
even when the man is not here, you are taking swipes at him.
No.
So there's a well-fed Derek.
No, I can show you the message. So I'm actually looking at the
flyer out
to see. No, I got it. I understood it.
So one Derek looks well fed,
very well fed.
So you don't look well fed.
Oh, I didn't. No, I look okay. Just okay, just okay. But one looks very well fed. So this is the original Prince Derek Ajay. The other one is yet to come. But it's a good day. It's a good day. How's Johnny Hughes and Sixtus? You've dispatched them.
They're around. They're around. A number of events, picking up a few of them as well, but it's all part of the job.
Sure. Yeah, and
it's all part of the job.
There are other messages. You gave the Egbeta this promise you haven't kept. We're supposed to go to cantonments and follow up on the looting.
We'll follow up on a number of those.
So cantonments. And then the airports.
There's airport lands as well.
Yeah, the airport city. From the airport city to the 37 lorry station, that big tract of land. Who's there? What's going on? Then there's the last one is near where the Star Hotel used to be. From the Lands Commission. Going to GIS.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly somebody has boarded off that whole land. Suddenly, people are putting roofing sheets around various plots of land.
The residents of Bamia, I think he lives around there.
I don't know where he lives actually, but I remember 31st December had interest in it, and there was litigation amongst the 31st people. Now that Kunedo is gone, looks like somebody's having plans and ideas, and I think that in keeping with the president's promise to retrieve the lands, over 1,000 revocations have happened. At least the lands minister has given me copies of those 1,000 revocations in Accra and Kumasi. We need the details. We need to know specifics. So, for example, Gold Key, which of their 3 allocations have been revoked? Does that include that large tract of land from the airport city to 37 taxi rank? Who is developing which land? We need to know. And so the Egbeta promise, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. I'll go with you personally, and the cameras will roll. I would like for Belamonde and the ladies, Nashoko and others to join. It shouldn't be an all-men affair. And when ladies go, people believe that they are telling the truth, straight from the heart. The other one, the other ladies on the set with your friend, was on the morning show, the TV3 morning show.
Cookie.
Yeah, Cookie T. Yeah, Cookie T was my wife's roommate on campus, actually.
Oh.
Yes. Way back in the day. Then
there's Beatrice. There's Nashoko as well.
Beatrice, not Beatrice. Beatrice. That's how she pronounced. They should be there. Let's go around. Let's go on a discussion. Let's find the lands so that the government can retrieve them and put it to national development or return it to the last 2. Because we also need our lands,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when are we going? Absolutely. When are we going?
You've mentioned a number of individuals. They will all have to...
you want to have a conference?
Which were your own words? That shouldn't be just me.
It was just Mother's Day. So let's do a Mother's Day lunch for them. And then we use the opportunity to go on.
So all of those individuals will have to come together and then work. Because if left to me alone, then you can say, okay, when are you going? But it's now supposed to...
I'm revising my notes. Let's do the first one. Me and you and him. We're going to do a recce with the well-fed one. Then, after that, we get the ladies together and then do
so we'll get his consent. We'll get Derek Ejekum as well.
Do we have your consent?
Timing and all that. All of those things have to be factored in.
You are trying to procrastinate.
I'm not procrastinating, but they will come, and then there can be a conversation.
If John Mahama had procrastinated, the legal reform bill would have been signed into law. So don't do this. I know you are enjoying the fact that he signed it into law and that there will be no exam on 31st July. You know there will be no exam. You're happy.
That is still up for conversation, though. A number of people are a bit unclear as to what happens.
Oh, there's clarity. There's only one government of Ghana. The government has spoken.
No, yes, the government has spoken.
Yes.
But we had seen a notice that had come from there. And in fact, if you read from the Ghana School of Law, before the signing by the president.
No, it was an error.
I'm making a point.
Okay.
And if you read the now law that's been passed as well, it makes provision for persons who do not gain admission into the accredited tertiary institutions to also make their way to the Ghana School of Law. And so it doesn't suppose a complete end.
So
it's a monopoly that has ended.
Who has finality? Is it the president or the director of the Ghana School of Law?
I'm saying that the acts which the president assented to said that persons with LLB who will not get admission into the accredited universities can still find solace somewhere there.
By writing an exam?
I don't know whether it will be an exam.
No, there's no exam.
You understand?
There's
I am talking about the Makola. Okay, maybe you're speaking.
So
we're speaking about different things.
Is the only one in Ghana who has a ministerial position related to law, correct? Correct.
Yeah.
Now, he, after the sign, and he was present when the president signed.
Yes, he in fact
said
spoke.
that the law that has been signed takes effect when? It takes effect when?
Immediately.
Immediately.
And that implementation will be underway and we'll see September.
Yes. And do you know who was standing by his side?
Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo.
Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo. And he's the one who's been advocating
Chief
for this.
proponent.
And he is the one who's been speaking to these issues. So when some people want to listen to third parties, hearsay of hearsays from Vincent Assefa.
No.
Who, oh yes, his welfare, listen.
You see, when I say no, I mean the fact that my commentary is not based on his.
I'm talking about other people.
Yeah.
I've heard other people speak. And Vincent Assefa is the reference point. Whereas Dafiamekpo is well placed. Whereas the Attorney General has spoken. Whereas the President of the Republic of Ghana, who signed the thing, has spoken. In fact, the Finance Minister was also present. And finances for the program is going to be captured in the 2027 budget, which will be read this year. And people say, but money has not been provided. And I say, oh, wow, really? No, you see, you cannot provide funds for a non-existent entity. So now that it's been signed into law, the budget can be done. However, you remember free SHS, there was no money, and yet the implementation started. Yeah. So for the same people who started free SHS, when the president of the day even didn't know where to find the money, to come back to us today, to kind of talk to us about something that the president of today knows where the money is, where the finance minister has assured us of where the money is, where the attorney general, whose baby it is telling you that they start immediately. I mean, where's the debate? Vincent Assefa and the likes should stop this. And I'm waiting for the welfare director to arrive to see whether he would change his stance. But bottom line is that for you, the young up-and-coming lawyers, aren't you excited? Everybody says they're excited.
I mean, it's a lot of positive. I'm not sure I've spoken to anybody who has suggested otherwise. And so that is quite.
So we're waiting to have a lot of lawyers in the system. The deficiency of lawyers at the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Attorney General's Department will be a thing of the past once we have the thousands of very well qualified, very high quality lawyers in the system. The prosecutions will roll on, and it's not just to the MPP people who are feeling pressured because of the prosecutions but even NDC people will sit up. Because if you see how the prosecutions go, the 24-hour courts setup will require a lot of lawyers, both in defense of some and the prosecutions of some. Corruption will be nipped in the bud. You remember he signed another one too. That's the Office of Quality Value for Money. Yeah. That is also to ensure that looting does not happen. So Operation Recover or Loot. There are more things that are being put into play by the president beyond what people's expectations are. But these are the groundbreaking things that have happened. And last but not the least is that we need to all be healthy. I want to entreat everybody to take good care of themselves. I mean, the president recently did the primary health care thing. The NHIS has been uncapped, and 20% is being put into the Mama Cares, that's the Ghana Medical Fund, Trust Fund. But before that, the president himself put 6 months of his own salary in there. his appointees are putting their monies in there. They are putting their monies where their mouth is, just like they did in the case of the chips compounds in the first term of term of president.
To add a little to what he's saying about the legal bill, I think that as a country we follow history, and we've known the challenges that this existing bill has done for us. I'm sure that it has outlived, or perhaps outliving its purpose, for which reason there's a need to bring in several reforms. And what I see this bill to do is to expand access and reduce the backlogs. Of course, people complete LLB, and their plan and their dream to become lawyers are curtailed because there is limited capacity for them. And I think that this will expand capacity and reduce backlogs. I think also that it's going to create other opportunities for people who perhaps did not even have the intention, but had the desire, yes, to go into the legal fraternity to also be part of the entire system. The issue of examination was one of the things that was used, to block many people from getting access. And at the look of this bill, it means that it's going to replace the entrance exams with a national bar exam, which I think that is one of the good things that the Ghanaian people should applaud the president for. Now, you mentioned even the monopoly. I mean, the Ghana Bar Association have enjoyed this monopoly for the Ghana School of Law. Yes, for over 66 years. And I mean, Makola, could run the professional law course needed to be called the bar. And so I think that the bill opens up some professional legal training to accredited institutions across Ghana, so that they can also train legal brains to help us with our issues of litigation. There are many people who are left in our prisons. If they are food items, we will say they've been left to rot. But we are wasting their youthful ages, we are wasting their lives on earth, which of course must have been diverted into helping us grow our nation. Unfortunately, many of them are there for some little problems that they encountered. Also for fact that they did not get legal representation. And this has caused all these challenges. A clear witness is last week, a friend of mine was taken to court and he didn't get a legal representation. Because of that, the court had to remand her for 2 solid weeks. I think that if we have access for people to, acquire legal knowledge, some of our cases that have been sitting in our courts for over years would be dealt with. It is said that justice delayed is justice denied. And so I am very happy about this reform. Let's look at it holistically in the context and view that it is going to solve some of our medical problems that as a country we've been battling with. So that it creates opportunity, for many who have the desire to go into the legal fraternity, to practice it in good faith and with all professionalism.
Right.
Just a 10-second take on the back of that. Somebody was asking if there's enough time for the accreditation aspect and also for the schools to come on stream, because they've been listening to
because it wasn't the major subject area for conversation. That's why I wasn't furthering, because it was just initial comments on those. But yeah, that's come up in terms of accreditation, because I was having a conversation with someone and the person was making me understand that yes, there's been consultation on the face level of the bill with the schools, but as to consultation as to when possibly this could get done, they are now returning to the schools for conversations in that regard. And so there's still quite some work to be done,
which can be done quickly if there's commitment. And I'm sure the schools were aware at least about a year ago that this was going to happen, and so they should have been gearing themselves. At least I know KNUST, Legon, and other public institutions are ready to move. So, Professor, is it Professor or Doctor or Mr. Asasari, Montcrest?
Yeah.
If they are not ready, I'm sure there are others that will be happy to fill.
We'll leave it at that. Let's get into our conversations. I was starting off with Pan-Africanism and the conversations from there. I think yesterday we saw the foreign minister, Frederick, if you could put that up for us briefly, announced that government through the president has granted presidential approval for the immediate evacuation of some 300 Ghanaians in South Africa. The distressed Ghanaians had earlier complied with the Foreign Affairs Advisory and registered with the High Commission in Pretoria to be rescued following the latest wave of xenophobic attacks. The government shall continue to safeguard the welfare of citizens. That's come up in terms of developments from South Africa. But we're seeing our government take or go the extra mile to move our persons back home and all of that. Just quick thoughts on that, then we zoom into the other matters. Let me start off with you, Mark.
Well, a very good morning to our cherished listeners, to you and to my senior brother, Prince Derek, the original. These issues brings attention to the fact that leaders in Africa have not been up to task. We've had several discussions on the sub-region, that is the ECOWAS bloc, where our brothers from the Sahel have decided that they will exit ECOWAS, all because there have been some issues of insecurity around and along their borders, which of course the ECOWAS bloc is unable to provide the needed security and support for them to mitigate some of these challenges. We've also moved beyond the traditionalist view of securitization, where security is only meant to be the expose or the use of military and military weapons to protect the state. If you look at theories from various individuals and scholars from the Copenhagen School of Theory, realize that we have shifted the attention from the traditionalist view of securitization to a point where human livelihood or sustainability within the ecosystem, the environment, has become the new trend of securitization, where people's welfare is mostly prioritized under the United Nations Development Program. It is very unfortunate that our brothers and sisters in South Africa are behaving the way they are behaving. I thought that we are all calling for a united Africa, where institutions ought to be institutionalized to ensure that we are able to cooperate among each other, to do business, to have access to each and every country or region without fear and with full access or support from institutions that are there. And of course, there must be that kind of interrelations or cooperation amongst African countries like the Europeans are doing. Unfortunately, this is what we are seeing from our brothers from South Africa. But I think that the president giving the Minister for Foreign Affairs the opportunity or whatever to bring our people from South Africa is a very laudable idea. That is also one of the responsibilities of government, to go to the aid of its citizens no matter the place they find themselves. But this, I believe that it must be registered at the United Nations General Assembly. The xenophobic attack that South Africans are unleashing to their fellow Africans. I also recall a week ago that the president and the minister for foreign affairs would or have petitioned ECOWAS or African Union on this trending xenophobic attack by the South Africans. I don't want us to go into history where many African countries came together, put resources together, and gave the South African the human necessary need to be able to move out of apartheid. Unfortunately, those involved in these xenophobic attacks today, I'm sure at the time could not even take their own bath. Unfortunately, today they have grown, without recourse to history, are behaving inhumane the way they are behaving. I believe that the African community must come together and give the necessary sanctions they need to give to South Africans. I am thinking that by now, there are some South African businesses in Ghana that must begin to receive sanctions. We've seen what Tanzania is doing, closing their borders and withdrawing some benefits they give to the South Africans. I'm believing that other countries should replicate the same thing so that it will serve as a deterrent to the South Africans. I mean, nobody is taking anybody's job. If you're in your country and you are not able to put yourself up to task to, get the needed job to do, I don't think that should be the fault of any other African person to receive such attacks from you. So for me, let's look at sanctioning them on grounds that would affect them. Let's punish them. Whatever relations that other African countries have with them, let us looking at cutting them one after the other.
Cutting them in what sense? Cutting them, I'm not sure that will augur well in terms of Pan-Africanism. I know at the next AU meetings of ministers, we here in Ghana, when I say we here in Ghana, I mean the foreign minister is seeking to table for a conversation a number of things to draw the rest of the Africa's minds to what is happening and for decisive action to be taken. I don't expect that decisive action will be cutting ties.
Does what they are doing enhance Pan-Africanism? Attacking African individuals, does it enhance Pan-Africanism?
An argument,
beating people on the streets without recourse to law. And if you are talking about issues of immigration, they have institutions whose responsibility it is to ensure that people who come into their country have the requisite document. So if they don't have it, take it like Mark, going on the streets today, attacking these the small little children who beg money on the road. Where are they from? Niger. Attacking them and attacking their parents. Is that my responsibility? Is that my duty? Is that my job? That is not my duty. And that is why we have institutions whose responsibility it is to make sure that some of these issues are addressed. And so if your institutions in South Africa are not doing what they are supposed to do, it is never your responsibility to go out after people, attacking them. You understand? And surprisingly, their institutions are sitting quiet, looking at what is happening.
Right.
This tells me that they are in support of whatever they are doing. For which reason? I am calling for those cuts. You understand? Those diplomatic cuts. Let us give them those punishments to serve as a deterrent, because it started in 1990s and they are, is it 90s or early 2000s, and today they are back again. If you don't give them punishment that would affect them, they will go and come back again in the next 5 years or 10 years.
Right.
And that does not encourage Pan-Africanism.
Prince.
Well, good morning once again to your viewers. I share quite a bit of what my colleague has said, and I draw inspiration from the founding of the AU now, the OAU now AU, and I'm sure in a couple of months the President of Ghana would head that institution. In keeping with that, and also the fact that there is a need for trade amongst ourselves and interconnectivity of the African continent in terms of the nation states that make the Union, the 54. I think that it will be useful if we chart a path of first line not opening fire. And that has happened. The second line of diplomatic talk, which has also already happened. Unfortunately, in all that, the state institutions in South Africa have failed, and the president of South Africa also failed until recently. That is post our president, and through him, the foreign minister taking the lead, and also our ambassador in South Africa announcing saying that the Ghanaian government is ready to repatriate its citizens to avert, the ills of the past being visited on them, namely lynching of people, burning people, and all that. We've seen videos, some of which were old, but yet confirm the fact that really this happened. And of course, if you've seen, such a thing happen, and there are threats of such a thing happening, you do not wait till it happens. So I think the pragmatic steps have been taken by our government. We have listened to our brothers from other countries, particularly Nigeria, also sound a warning. And I think that my starting point of this will be ECOWAS, of which we are again a member, a key member for that matter, and to take the thing on a regional block level, and for the SADC also to take similar action, because people in that block are also affected. People who really work there and have the high-end businesses are mostly from neighboring countries, which are part of the SADC. We are just a small number, as in the ECOWAS sub-region. And yet, if we are to integrate properly, it means that the free movement of goods and services amongst all these AU countries must happen. So if we are in each other's country and we are being seen as foreigners, that in itself defeats the whole idea of the AU, because it is the belief of our founding fathers, particularly Nkrumah, that we are all one. In fact, Africa is one continent, and so apart from the land borders, etc., that have been put there by the Europeans to a large extent, and by other, natural, barriers of mountains and rivers and all that. We are just one people, and so if we are to integrate and trade amongst ourselves, it would then not be useful to start, as it were, cutting ourselves off each other.
Right.
However, it is a last line of action that may become necessary, and I think that's where I agree with him that we can start perhaps with companies that belong to the South African, economic, base, namely the mining, telecommunication, and allied businesses that are in our various countries. And so Ghana, for example, we have a couple of them. And if we should invite the leadership of these companies and let them know that there'll be consequences for actions that are taken by their compatriots. And so it will be useful for them to begin to realize that their businesses will be affected. And so they may want to speed up their communication with their
people so that they prevent.
I think it would go a long way. And then the next step would be the actual, recall of ambassadors as a diplomatic, step. And also then the final leg of cutting ties. But it will be premature to put that way ahead.
First.
I've heard Cyril Ramaphosa speak to the issue finally, but beyond the words, action is,
very
slow
important.
in coming. And I've been to South Africa severally. I've been to Pretoria on government business, and I know the capacity of the South African police and their state institutions to act decisively when they intend to. So there's a few people, to start with, who have started this. And if the government delays and it catches fire, and more people come, it will become difficult, because then it will lead to a riotous, a confrontation, and mob action will be easier. So now that just a mob of a handful of people, they should run it up. It's running up.
Right.
Beyond that, I think that we should look at the greater good of Africa integrate properly, understand ourselves, work together. We are brothers and sisters, and let's move ourselves forward collectively.
Right, 8 minutes to the top of the hour, so live here on the 3FM Sunrise. I'm going to go for this quick break. Before I do that, let me talk to you about the ongoing the 24th Senior Athletics Championship happening at the University of Ghana, the Legon Sports Complex to be specific. From now to the 17th of May, a host of athletes from different parts of the country, Toby Amason, Faith Kipiogen, and a host of others, as well as our own sprint stars, are in Ghana competing for different events. There's the javelin, the shot put, you call it what. There's a lot of excitement happening at the Legon Sports Stadium, which you should be a part of. And so go there. There are no tickets required. Let's turn up in our numbers. Go, even as we urge upon supporters to be there. We back our athletes to round up a lot of medals for us. The 24th Senior Africa Athletics Championship, feel the heat. It's powered by the Ministry of Sports and Recreation and the Confederation of African Athletes and the Ghana Athletics. That is what is happening. From now till the 17th, be there. That 17th is on the Sunday when the ceremony will come to a close. Be there and be a part of it as we celebrate African greatness in terms of athletics competition. Let's go for this quick break. When we return,
will the South Africans be there?
Yes, South Africans are here.
They're here.
Yeah, they're here. They're
Oh,
here and
they're here.
They are here and they are part of the competition.
Oh, you are sure they're here?
Yes, they are here.
Okay.
In fact, this morning when we were doing our conversations about the games, one of the voices we played was a South African athlete. Actually,
I know.
You are asking because of our conversation, and I'm responding to it. Let's go for this quick break. When we return, we'll talk big push, roads, and why government is giving out contract to persons who are not turning up to work, and the people are still getting more contracts. Stay with us.
When malaria
The big conversation on 3FM Sunrise.
Back in the studio, it is 3 to the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. We're getting into our conversation. Let's welcome as well Derek Ejekum, who's joined us in studio now. Derek, I trust that all is well with you.
By God's grace, I'm doing so well. Just that traffic in town this morning is so hectic. So much traffic in town, driving from Adenta to this place. And so viewers, forgive me for coming late. It's not usual of me, but the traffic is so hectic in town. Oh, but you know it's not usual of me.
It started already.
Hey, Derek. You're always late.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, Derek
I
comes
think this is
in.
the first.
Derek comes in early.
For 2 consistent meetings, you come to meet me parked here.
Packed.
Yeah. Sorry, with my Uber.
It's a quick switch in with my Uber pack, but let's get into big push. Prince, why is the minister the one having to ascertain whether or not contractors are working? Is one question, and why are we giving contracts to persons who are not turning up, not to meet deadlines that have been set by your own government?
Very well. The big push, for those who are not aware, is an effort to have massive infrastructural development. Key amongst them is the road networks that would make sure that the economy is opened and goods and services are moved rapidly throughout the country. In fact, it's not just the roads that the government is looking at, it's looking at the rail as well and water transport. I'm sure a lot of people have now vetted themselves to lots of things that are happening. On the road network, I think that the big talk has been the Eastern and Western Corridor roads and also the Tema motorway, then the Ashanti Expressway, that's the one that links to Accra to Kumasi Direct. The minister has been touring various routes, small, big, everywhere in the country, and they are all happening simultaneously. There's an effort to ensure that good quality roads, and when I say good quality, I'm talking of top-notch roads, are constructed as a legacy of the president and also to Ghanaians. You see, a lot of money is being pumped into the system, but this time around into the Ghanaian economy directly via Ghanaian contractors. So 10 billion being pushed in. It's not small money, but the idea also is not to discriminate. So many awards that had happened under the MPP were not cancelled. The contractors were not shoved aside for new contractors to be found. And a number of these contractors are failing to deliver. In fact, one of the key things that the minister has put in is that there will be an automatic, forfeiture of the contract if you fail to deliver. And the other thing also is, in the past you give people mobilization and then they go and chop, like Wontumi did with the cocoa roads, for which reason he's standing trial. There are several others like that.
That's not one of the reasons he's standing trial, is it?
Sorry?
Is cocoa roads one of the reasons?
Yes, it's one of the reasons. In fact, he was given money from Cocoa Board to construct cocoa roads, and he failed to do that. He's chopped the money. There are several of the MPP guys who are either being interrogated or other on this cocoa sector monies that they blew on their party officials who suddenly became contractors. Now, this government is not discriminating. If you have a contract and it's valid, and you get to retain it, but you have to prove and show working. So one way is to have the inspectorate divisions of the Ministry of Roads and the highways, including feeder roads, go on tours. And the minister is not an armchair minister. He's been given, marching orders by the president through the vice president, who has been calling on various sector ministers. If you recall, the last minister, for example, the vice president was there. Shortly thereafter, there was a publication of the list of allocations that are being revoked. Same with the roads. So marching orders are being given. This president intends to get results shortly.
But
so,
okay,
the one that made a news headline. In fact, two have made a news headlines this past week. But the latest one is one Chinese who has been given about 82 million and is failing to deliver on the results and is sitting outside and sending his officials. The minister has warned that he wants to see the man himself. In fact, the Chinese national is now also a Ghanaian. He's naturalized. So you're dealing with a Ghanaian in one breath. I think that the minister is on the right path. There must be some revocations of contracts based on non-performance. And the first one is to get Ghanaians to follow how, this government is about an open and transparent governance. So through the media and such interactions, the Ghanaian people are being made aware. If a low-level personality goes on this field trip, the media will not cover. But when the minister speaks, it gets the headlines, and that's why we're discussing this today. I think that a number of these contractors are doing sterling jobs, and it's manifest all over. Recently, I saw a video of the stretch from Pokwase towards Kumasi, and you won't believe it's this country. You won't believe it.
That was last year, right?
No, this year.
A chunk of the work was done last year after.
And a lot more has been done this year. You won't believe it's this country. I don't know whether you've been on the motorway lately.
No, I haven't.
But at least you've been to Tetekwashi, which is close, and you've seen that they've done one half of the extension with the other one ongoing. And I think that, look, the capacity of Ghanaians to deliver is there. There's been a lot of technology transfer over the years because some of them have worked under these foreigners, companies, and the technology is available.
There's a question of handing out contracts to persons who have contracts and are not delivering. Those are the words of the minister himself.
And I'm saying that. So I just want to first give...
So they have contracts, they haven't delivered, they've missed deadlines,
so
and yet you are giving them new contracts.
So first and foremost is that we must establish the fact that it's not widespread. It's not like everybody is not delivering. It's not that they are incompetent or everybody is incompetent. People are delivering. People are doing sterling jobs, but some are not delivering. So those that are not delivering are the outsmart people, and those are the ones that are being picked out, highlighted, and given an opportunity to perform. Now, that's given. If next time you hear that the person's contract has been revoked, I don't think there should be any cause for complaint. And I don't think that it would be proper for anyone to come and say, oh, but me, I'm a party person, why you remove me? Or I'm being witch hunted because I'm NPP. The contracts were given freely to Ghanaians without recourse to party affiliation. And I want to hammer on that. So a lot of NPP people, contractors, have been given contracts regardless. Maybe some NDC, maybe some UP people, etc., have also been given contracts based on their capacity. And of course, over the past 8 years, the capacity of persons that were built when the government was looking inwardly to build the capacities of even people like Muntumi and other party people means that a lot of MPP people have been built their capacity. So when you award a contract and there are boxes to be ticked, they'll be able to tick the boxes, because if the boxes include, do you have experience? Yes, they have experience because they've been given. But as to whether they were able to deliver and they haven't finished, and they're saying that, oh, okay, we need money, we weren't being provided money. And in some instances, there were terminations of
we've heard
works,
about one.
the roadworks. Yeah. If you look at the stretch, the Osu to Teshi stretch, that's the beach road, it was stopped. Lately, the contractors are on site. Monies have been provided. So this government is now making the money available. GOG is providing the funds. That's the government of Ghana is providing the funds. So it's unlike previous contracts where we go and borrow money from foreign countries and then automatically you have to get their contractors from their countries. This time, government wants to put it so that the local economy will be stimulated.
Right.
I think that we must all support it when it gets to the point of the termination of those contracts.
Prince, Derek, let me come to you now.
Derek, yes.
on big push and what we're seeing, particularly from the minister. Not everybody is entirely enthused about his journey and what he's been saying while visiting some of these sites.
A very good morning to your viewers and then your listeners out there. Before I get to the big push conversation, I may want to have a bite on the issues in South Africa.
Yeah, you are.
3FM 92.7.
It's been signed. No exam in July.
No, but my concern even about the legal reforms is about those who are in the final years this year. There's even yesterday our law lecturer mentioned it. Kwashiga.
You are in the same class with
yes.
So you are both up and coming lawyers who are beneficiaries of the signing ceremony.
Yeah,
okay, good.
good.
Our law lecturer Kwashiga, who is an examiner with the IEC, Independent Examination Council, is not even sure about the fact that whether this year there will be an entrance exam or not.
Boss, he put out some misleading information. Vincent Assefa is the reason why there's some confusion.
No, he was only asking questions.
Okay.
Because on one breath, the chief whip in parliament says that there's no entrance exams. On the other breath, the Independent Examination Council schedules 31st July for entrance examination.
What does the law say?
At that time, there was no law.
Now there's a law, so
yes, that is why questions are being asked, because it is silent on it. Because the schools must go through a process to be accredited, to begin the new reforms that the Legal Education Act is introducing.
And accreditation come from outside Ghana?
No, it doesn't come from outside Ghana,
So
but it goes through a process.
Yes.
You know our bureaucracy in this country.
Bureaucracy.
And last year, the exams was written in September. We are in May. Let's even take May out. We have June, July, August. So just 3 months. Are we saying that is it enough for the preparatory works for the accreditation to be given?
When
If
the
not,
institutions are asleep when the law was pushed through Parliament, you must be getting yourselves ready. If you want to get married today,
But
next year,
we've had the conversation
where
where we've agreed around the table before he came. We said there needs to be speed.
exactly.
in that
That's
regard.
why.
And
So when you say my boss put out a misleading information, it's something that I don't understand. Because he was only asking questions.
No, he was
because people were
arguing.
agitating. No, he wasn't arguing. He asked the question, and Dafamiakpo chose to insult him out of the question.
Dafiamekpo.
Yes, the chief whip. I didn't mention your twice my name. You are correcting me.
Dafiamekpo,
the chief
honorable,
the chief whip of the majority caucus came and then attacked him. But he was only asking questions because he has constituents who are in the law school, and so if they are bothered about the happenings.
One of the constituents,
If they are bothered about it, but I'm not sitting for an entrance exam this year,
Yes.
and so if there are concerns, it is only right as the people's representative, he asks the necessary questions, especially when even before the president assented the bill into law, he is on live video to have said that they won't sit for an entrance exams. Then IEC releases a timeline for entrance exams. You put people in a state of comatose, and so it is only right that they would ask the necessary
That's
questions.
not correct. What you've said is not correct. First is that there was no law. There was
Yes.
a bill that had been passed.
I think
Yes.
Then that is
passed.
pretty clear.
Put everything
That
to
that
rest.
that
No,
that
so
that
we asked the question again that they should be clear. There have been times that were we not here when we deferred the D-levy collection for about 2 months? Wasn't it a law, but it was deferred. And so if the necessary
has this
works,
law been deferred?
please, if the necessary works can't meet the timeline, let's set clear modalities for the students. These are the questions that we're asking. Nobody is against whatever that has been assented or what have been passed. But we are only asking that if the timelines are not favorable, just to prevent the mishaps, not just to prevent these confusions of students, they should communicate clearly. And I don't think it is far-fetched if anybody asks these questions. Prince Derek, it's fine. Nobody.
that's and then I agree with you. That's a fair point.
It's just
to
only
make.
clear that our seniors
You-
are allowed to know that you are either sitting or you are not sitting, for, so that they know what to do and then they start
they are not
preparing.
sitting. The Attorney General has said that.
Let's hear you.
So on the matters of the big push, every ministry has a monitoring and evaluation department, especially the ministry that handles some of these works. I, for once, would not want to diminish the effort of the minister trying to get our contractors to work. But the only problem I have is that content creation not doors on the door. Whenever there is a camera on the minister, he makes it look like he's so agitated.
That's so
and
unfair.
Prince Derek, why?
Assefa is looking for content every time. You're not talking about that.
No problem.
Let him.
We are not discussing
Proceed.
today.
Proceed.
You see, when you look at the concerns of the minister, I remember he was engaging Maripoma in one of the videos, and he said that, let me quote his words, in the last 5 years, tell me which project you have handled that you have met the completion date. And so if you tell me that this project is 24 months, and so we should give you time to the 24 months and the project will be completed, it's not possible. I must ensure that with every timeline, you get to the point of the project. These were the words of the minister. And so if you know that in the last 4 or 5 years, Maripoma has not met any single timeline, and you look at the list of the big push that came out, and Maripoma has about 3 contracts out of the 78 contracts that was announced. Why did we do that?
Because we're open.
No, but didn't you conduct these feasibility studies? Didn't you, as a minister, get briefings, get a report from your monitoring and evaluation team? I'm not having a one-on-one session with you. Please allow me make my point. No, allow me make my point. Didn't you engage in some of these things? Why would you now, after your review, after your auditing, after your assessment and all of that, you still go ahead and award 3 more contracts to this same particular company when you know in the last 4 or 5 years they have not met any single deadline of the projects that they are handling? No, it was a sole source contract. That makes the matters in a different perspective, because you handpicked them and awarded the contracts to them. That is fine by you. Nobody is contending your scope when it comes to matters of that conversation. But after your assessment, after your auditing, after every single thing that you did around these contracts, because you said that every contract that we gave, you had put on hold, you were auditing, you were ensuring that it met the necessary value for money conversations and all of that. So after all these conversations, you went ahead, you awarded about 3 more contracts to that same company, and that is just for example purposes, not that I have personal issues with any company involved, but that is for example purposes. You went ahead to give a contract to this same company, and today you are crying at the cameras that they are not delivering on the timeline that is expected of them. Now, who caused them? There are other companies that are functioning. You go elsewhere and you applaud the directors and then the owners of that company for a good work done.
Yes.
Were these companies not available? Are they not having the capacity? So the issues of minister wanting to appear before you see NDC, the NDC party, President Derek's party, they are fond of crying when they see cameras. And so you find Kofi Amabua cry, you find the chief of staff cry, you find the roads and highway minister also, as it were, the Honorable Abuja has always been a hot person. And so maybe he may not cry, but that is how he also addresses his grievances. But there is a monitoring and evaluation department at the ministry that they have a budget for every single project. Every single project. They have a budget for. Even projects that are handled by Get Funds have monitoring and evaluation budgets, allocations for that. And so what are the monitors and evaluators at the ministry doing? That we may have to cause the minister to leave his seat and drive all the way everywhere in Ghana where a project is, and then as it will be seen in a confrontation with contractors and all of that. What are the civil servants doing? What are the technocrats doing? What is the briefing that the minister is having? To the extent that the minister must tell us that if not for mobilization being paid to you, we would have terminated your contract. Why can't we retrieve our money from them when we terminate their contract?
See, that's where you are a legal brain.
Right.
Now, do you know?
I want him to finish. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you on.
Do you know how long the stretch in front of the La Polyclinic was left for very long, because the Chinese person was stopping the assembly and any other entity that even tried to patch potholes and were threatening legal action. So if you have
I'm sure every contract there's a termination clause. So what were the termination clause that they put in the contract?
Do you know what you did? When you put in your termination clause liabilities that will accrue to Ghana, such that it makes it impossible for a reasonable government to terminate. That is what you left us. And that is
Well,
what he was crying about.
He
was crying about what you left us in the termination clauses.
I've not had a chance to look at the contract document,
Then
so I
let's-
can't
then
speak
let's
to
speak
it.
to it.
But I'm saying that obviously there'll be a termination clause in these agreements. In any case,
Which is not favorable.
in any case, the big push is a new contract that you awarded.
Yes.
And so if the contractors are failing to meet their deadlines, what was the termination clause you put in there?
The contracts are ongoing contracts. Note, it's not every road that was virgin.
Yes, I know.
So some of these routes that had contracts existing, those people were allowed to stay. So Mariupoma and others that you're talking about
Wrap up
were
for me so
given
I
that
can-
opportunity
so I
to
can go to
continue.
Mark.
And
Yeah,
that
so-
now
so
a
wrap up for
big
me,
push.
because-
Yes, so I'm only saying that we appreciate the minister for wanting to go around and ensure that these contractors are working. In any case, I say that matters of education, matters of health, matters of road, it knows no political leanings. And so whether you are NPP, you are NDC, you become a beneficiary of a good system if we have it. And so I, for once, may not condemn the actions of the minister, but I'm only saying that why should it get to the point that a minister must be the one to be engaging in this store, having these confrontations with these contractors, especially when we have a monitoring evaluation department.
Right.
Is the minister not receiving briefings from these people? I mean, already there is, I always say this, that the ordinary people that entrust their mandate in our hands, gradually they are giving up on politicians, whether NPP or NDC. So if today,
They have given up on the
if today we have an area like Jakobu, and the minister is going to Jakobu, and you have a convoy of about 17 Land Cruisers, it sends a different message down there.
That's another mischievous statement.
Finish for me. His microphone is not active. Finish for me so that otherwise I'll have to move to Mark.
Prince Derek.
The MCs.
Prince Derek, would you allow me? I'm not contending that. I'm not saying that the minister left Accra with 17 Land Cruisers. But when the minister is visiting area, at the end of the day, you have 17 Land Cruisers.
It's not even 17.
Oh, please. As an entourage, you have 5 from the ministry, you have the regional minister, you have the MP of the area, you have the MCU of the area, you have opinion leaders of the area, you have chiefs and all of that joining. And so that is, they are all going, you can't say that. They are going there because the minister is there. And that is why these people are there.
Right.
And so let's avoid some of these things.
Thank you.
There are better ways we can handle some of these things.
Mark, I'm coming to you now.
Thank you.
On the subject matter.
Marina, I think that we need to commend the Minister for Roads, Honorable Abuja, for what he's doing. I believe that if our former ministers in charge of roads have been engaging our road contractors in same manner, I'm not sure.
Oh, we saw Amakwata on the road a number of times. Are you sure we were not seeing him on the road? I'm sure that's something we all can.
And how did it end? No, how did it end? You see, I'm coming on. We are saying that Kwame Agboja is doing all these when he sees cameras, all right? Because he's seen working, he's seen going to grounds, he's seen on various points where road construction is going on. But in previous administration, we didn't see him on countable locations, for which reason we can, juxtapose why Agboja's engagement with the contractors is becoming much of a social media. I mean, we have given ourselves these loopholes for civil servants and contractors to take advantage, where at the end of the day, politicians are seen to be the corrupt ones. Meanwhile, it is these contractors, for whatever indications are coming up, we see that they are those causing or creating such problems. How can you be given mobilization fee and for over months you've not been to site? And we are here to discuss whether the termination clause allows us to terminate that particular contract. This is fraudulent. It is fraudulent. Why? I take your money and give you a promise on contract to do something for you, and I don't do it after a period of time. Is that not fraud? So beyond the termination, whether there are clauses or not, what do we do to them? And we know the economic effect of those roads. When monies have been paid to contractors to construct a road, and they fail to do it, we know the economic cost that comes with it. There are other roads that they have started working on the roads. They've cleared weeds and trees. They've started grading the roads and all that.
Yeah, grading.
They do the grading and they don't come back again. And you know the hectic traffic our drivers find themselves in. Our roads are so poor and bad. And so drivers will tend to use the roads that have been graded. And what do you think expects to happen after 2 months? The roads will go bad. These are economic costs to the state. You understand? And I am happy that now citizens are able to voice out to the minister that no, the contractor has not been on site for past months, but they appeared here because they knew you were coming. In the past, we were not seeing some of these things. Citizens were not able to come out boldly to tell ministers that this is the conduct of some of the contractors. Meanwhile, they take the money and go. I was reading on social media and I hear people talk about the fact that we should give the contracts to foreign companies and ignore the local. I disagree to that effect. That why should we give contracts to foreign companies when we have competent local contractors here who can do this job? And the fact that people are not able to meet the timelines of completion does not necessarily mean we shouldn't give them contract. Perhaps we may think that moving forward they would change their modus operandi, for which reason I believe we should still give them that opportunity. But if their actions persist, that we give you contract and you're not able to meet the timelines or the deadlines, why should we continue or go ahead to give you such contract? I mean, we should be able to terminate them again. I do not also subscribe to the fact that the minister would have to go everywhere to monitor the projects or job in progress. It is good he goes out there because he finally would have to brief the president or the chief of staff the process and then how far the job has gone. But I believe they have representation across the country. If they have, then why must the minister be going round himself? There are monitoring and an evaluation department, as Derek said.
The welfare one, yeah?
That they also have an oversight responsibility or role to ensure that they monitor the rules that are given to contractors to see to it that they are doing whatever is expected of them. But if they are not doing it, what must we do? I believe we are in an age and time where technology must properly be used. We can create a dashboard where progress of these contractors will be pushed on that dashboard. It could also be made public for citizens to also assess and see the progress so far. It must not be that the progress on paper or on the dashboard will far outweigh that which is on the ground. It also enables or gives citizens the opportunity to report directly which contractor is working and which contractor is not working. I agree that the big push has a lot of economic benefits when these roads are all constructed. It gives access and it gives real time to travelers and all that. In road construction, we know that those of us who ply the roads will bear the brunt of it, where we would have to be changing our shocks and our bearings almost now and then. But immediately the roads are completed, we all feel and enjoy the benefits of it. However, we tend to waste so much time on road construction to the extent that even by the time the road is fully constructed, my car is spoiled. Some may even die through road accidents because during road construction the roads are not too good for use, and so some tend to die. If you look at the Cape Coast Takoradi road, a lot of accidents have been happening and people are losing their lives all in the name of constructing roads to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. Why must we not look at the time frame given to contractors to work on? You understand? So that we're able to get our roads on time and for safe use. So for me, let us punish or terminate contracts that do not really meet the timelines. Contractors who have taken money and have decided not to come back to do the job. They take the money and go and sleep. And most of them are political
connected.
Yes, they are all political faithfuls. You understand? So for me, the minister's outburst, okay, and show of emotions is just to tell us that he's really replicating what the Ghanaian people feel. How will you feel if you've given contracts to a contractor to work on and he's decided not to do it? He takes the money and go and sleep somewhere. So I mean, let's commend the Honorable Minister for Roads for the good job he's doing.
So
Prince, yes, back to you quickly, and whether or not the timelines can be met based on some of the things that we're seeing as well.
Some political persons and politically motivated civil servants and contractors may want to derail the big push to advance the objectives of Bamia, Asefwa, and the likes. And I think that it is in keeping with that some of these things are happening. But I want to assure my colleague to my left and that to my right that yes, the minister did not just get up and go out there, but it's due to advice given him by those who are in the monitoring and evaluation departments, and the dashboard reflects the pace at which work is ongoing. And so he visited 2 categories of sites, that which is doing well and also that which is being neglected, to paint the true picture of what the road sector is looking like under the big push and what he would not countenance, and also to indicate that where you're doing a good job, you'll be up for commendation, and where you're not, you'll be outed and also subjected to a revocation of contract.
Right. Still here on 3FM 92.7. The last subject matter for our conversation has to do with hostel accommodation. We've seen the rent control on recent visitations to a number of facilities. It's been a long-standing issue that has existed for some time, but it's come up frontally for conversation. I'm going to start with Derek Ejekum on this one. The challenges which persist and really how we begin to find solutions to this particular one.
3FM 92.7.
Issues concerning hostel accommodation and accommodating students is one that is very challenging. I, for once, thought that in our day and age, no bed syndrome wouldn't be a matter around education and also wouldn't be around health. But it looks like we are not leaving the wounds anytime soon. I was thinking that as a government that promised free first year
Tertiary
education, they may have put arrangement, or they may have made the necessary arrangements for accommodation solutions. Because when you go to University of Ghana, for instance, the bed space that is available to accommodate the entirety of students is less than half of the population of students. And so it becomes very challenging. And that is where extortion and all of that also sets in. Because of the want of beds and all of that, it makes business people, especially the private entities who run hostels, try to peg their prices at exorbitant fees. And so it is very challenging. And I think that we may not leave the troubles anytime soon. But the rent control commissioner is doing a good job, and I think that he deserves every commendation that comes to him. I think that for once...
Some will say he's been sleeping on the job. He's now waking up.
Oh, maybe the
better late than never.
It's better late than never. I mean, I think that for once there's an appointee of this government that is working tirelessly to advance the vision and then the cause of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama.
Only one.
That is what I can talk of. I mean, he's the one that without the necessary funds, the necessary resources, he's still working. I heard his interview on, I think, Oyerepa or Kasapa, one of the stations, when he said whether there are resources or not, he would deliver on his mandate, and then he's calling for support from like-minded people who are willing to advance this cause together with him. And so I believe that the commissioner is doing a good job. But you see, Eric, I say this all the time, that government has a responsibility of creating an enabling environment for businessmen to thrive. Government may not be able to build hostels to accommodate every single student, but what is the environment that they are creating for business, private entities to thrive? And that is why we have government. That's why we are voted into office, to provide the needed solutions. I know Prince Derek would spin the conversation and then want to blame the MPP and what have you. But I say this, that these are all part of the reasons why the MPP was voted out of office. The people are the reason for leadership. You are voted into office to address a challenge, to provide the needed solutions. And so if after 16 months of office, there is no clear indication of what you are doing to address hostel issues on campus, then it begs a lot of questions about the reset agenda that you seek to push. Because you are resetting every department of our government. You went ahead to promise first year free tertiary. And so it is believed that the numbers would increase, because not all persons after free SHS had the financial muscle to pay the fees for tertiary education. And so if there is a government that has promised a first year free, it is believed that the numbers would increase. And statistics confirms that the numbers have increased into our tertiary institutions. And so when we were promising that the first year was going to be free, and so there was an expectation for a huge number in admission, what was the plans to accommodate these people? Or is it because of, just as I always say, for the act of populism, just to make the people feel that we are there for them and we think about them? And so let us bring up any policy that would entice the people. And yes, that have been brought. You are paying their school fees even after they go through all the stress to acquire money, whether from loans and what have you, to pay their fees and register. Some you disburse back to them. But what were the critical plans? What were the infrastructure plans that were put in place? Is it just about making people get admission? Then you pay the fees of about 3,000 cedis for them. Then now they're in a one-ton chase of where to accommodate themselves. If possibly they get a private hostel, it is almost 3 times, 4 times their school fees. And that is not what the Ghanaians voted for. That is not what the people from Bantima voted for. That is not what from Fufo voted for. They voted for a government that is in to address their challenges, a government that promised them a reset in every department of governance, a government that is resetting our accommodation deficit, a government that is in to reset or provide the needed comfort and stability for our students. And so if after 16 months, there is no single plan, there is no single indication of providing the needed resources or infrastructure to accommodate the students, then it leaves a lot of questions that we must ask the people in government. That what is their plan? What is their action plan for our students? What is their plan for the people that they are paying their first year school fees for them?
Prince, the question is to you. What is the plan on your part then?
92.7.
Well, first, since we are now on education, I think it's appropriate to wish all the WASI candidates,
Yes,
all the
persons who are
best.
starting oral
Yes,
English today.
Yes, all the best in the WASI. I think that my good friend is doing very well for Vincent Asefwa in the mischief department of the NPP.
But these are legitimate questions, are they not?
No.
They are
You
not
see,
legitimate questions?
No. You see, coming from the MPP, which tried to wholesale implement free SHS without a plan, without a budget, and noting, in fact, I recall that in those days it was stated that we should focus on infrastructural development. Quality was the watchword, and that the e-blocks be done and in numbers that accommodate all, and that they should have also accommodation for the students. They rubbished all that. In addition to that, the pyramid, which has the basic education at the base, the secondary in the middle, and tapering at the tertiary, would now look more like a square, in that as the numbers are increased and we are making free, it means that, you see, if you look at the article 25 of the Constitution, deals with education and educational outcomes, including the free compulsory universal basic education, which was the FQ. It was badly implemented under President Kufuor. That is what led to the school feeding when he went cap in hand to go and beg for food for the students.
3FM
We should have had
92.7.
a comprehensive, thing at that basic level. The next one was the free SHS, which is in the Constitution. Okay, if you look at the Constitution, the free education is there at the secondary level. So
But
it's not-
it took a thinking government to ensure that
it is not-
implementation.
It is the 1992 Constitution predated the Akufo-Addo era. So Akufo-Addo
Exactly.
did
So
not
what did
come
you do?
up-
What did you
Please,
do
can I
about
finish?
it?
Can I finish?
What did you do about
Can
it?
I finish?
Jerry John Rawlings had
Can
92
I
to
finish?
2001.
But-
Mills
but
number one had 2009 to 2012. What was done about it?
The Constitution was promulgated by very sensible people, which included market women, tailors, dressmakers, etc. But the MPP decided to be out of it, and yet a very
But at the
Well,
time there
but-
was no MPP.
no, the antecedents of the MPP.
At the time there was no MPP, so you
guys
don't talk about
opted
MPP.
out.
I think we studied the Constitution this semester. Was there any MPP before
No. Let me tell you something.
There was no
the
MPP.
MPP had been formed, but had not been formalized.
Oh, look at
guys
you.
were
Let-
meeting-
Let's
you guys
stay.
were-
Let's
how
stay.
do you
Let's
then
stay.
talk about informal
Let's stay.
setup?
Let's stay.
How do you talk about informal
Prince?
setup?
Prince.
Did the MPP
Let's
How
let's
do you talk
stay.
about
Let's stay
informal
with the
setup?
subject.
How do you talk about informal setup?
The mics are off. The mics are off. Let's stay within the context of the hostel conversation.
Will it take 1 month to form?
Let's stay within. Let's stay, Prince. Let's stay within the context of the conversation that we're having. You're answering questions in relation to
talking
the
about things you
hostel,
don't know. I lived through it.
I was asking that these
So
are
can I make my
legitimate
point? He
questions that are
interrupted me.
being
He
asked.
interrupted me. I needed to put him right. He's a younger Derek. He didn't live through the times. I lived through it. So I'm telling you.
But we have studied history.
Never mind.
Let's speak. Let's speak to.
So the bottom line is that a
92.7.
well thought through constitution gives firm basis for all of this on the basis of availability of money. That is in the constitution. In fact, tertiary education is supposed to be progressively free based on availability of money. In fact, in the constitution also, there is lifelong education. All right? Even private institutions can be assisted, but in that particular constitution, it was indicated that they cannot be funded through the GET fund. Yet Kufuor did his bit and tried to give them some buses and so on, using or circumventing the constitution. I mean, anything that goes to enhance education is a plus. So I will not fault him even for doing something that was unconstitutional at the time. Now, having said that, there's an opportunity for us to review these things. But there's an active government in place ahead of the constitutional review process, which is doing wonderful things. So, for example, he was complaining about the stress-free, policy that the government has for first years, and trying to
You're not speaking to the hostel.
No, I'm coming to that because he's making. I don't want to have to do a
So that
rebuttal
yes.
process, but it is important that I reconstruct what my statement is going to be to clear the foul air that he dumped in the room prior to my making my statement. So he's saying that we put the guys through stress. It's not true. Hitherto there was other interventions, but it was difficult for some families. He's from an affluent, family. He can afford all the things. He would get into school. Others can't because they can't even afford to pay prior to getting in and have to wait for the student loan and so on. So I can understand. He's interested in the rent only because his room got flooded some time back and he told us about it.
No, but this has to do with
President,
students.
you know that the stress-free
This has to do
fee
with
policy
students.
that you promised the students.
92.7.
The students may have to pay their school fees first, register to be students before they can apply for that refund.
Assuming
And that wasn't what you promised them.
No, let's assume.
I don't want us to go into
That's
the
what I'm saying, that you
conversation
put
as
them into stress.
free.
No, let's
It's
even
about
assume-
hostels.
Yeah.
And the fact that there is a challenge with providing accommodation, which has existed for a long time.
So Ghana
But if
has
you know Derek so well, this is a strategy.
No.
He would do
Are you
that and he
still
will evade
interrupting
it. But
Are
you
you
have a problem with interjections. I never knew.
I thought Vincent well. He's teaching you well. So
Yeah, I will
basically,
have to.
No, so basically, this is what it is. We have an accommodation problem generally, not only on the campuses but in the country, and we are fixing it. The president is fixing it. I'm sure you're aware of the 200, acre land in Ashanti that he even can.
Hope City 2.0.
The green city.
Yes, but we saw Hope City in his first administration.
Please, I beg you, let him do that. Don't do that.
No, it's a legitimate question to ask. You disagree?
Oh, really? You want to go there?
No, I'm not saying we want to go there. I'm just saying that there will be questions asked.
You want to go
but
to Saglem
that's
as well?
that.
I'm
that's,
sure after Hope City, you're going to Sagleme.
But
The president is making Sagleme happen. 2026 May, this agreement has been signed to complete. These guys came and stole the items from there. You know that. And then at the tail end of their administration,
how are students in the picture?
So the bottom line is this: that hostels are available. They are in low numbers. All right. Number two is that there are accommodation facilities on campus. They are also not adequate. Then there are some hostels also on campus. In fact, as for Legon one, I know because my grandfather was the one who gave the land for Legon, and they are building hostels on it. So I'm saying to you that
3FM
these are available. They are not in adequate
92.7.
numbers. And so people are exploiting the students. When you have a small 2x4 thing in the area of Legon, Medina, Enclave, you change it into, accommodation, and definitely students will come. If you have something around, the tech area, UPSA, etc., and you convert it, you will get students. And they are charging rates that are exorbitant. In fact, to the point where even, the campus proper, they are charging rates that are not proper. So an appointee of the president who has been charged and given a similar, marching orders like Agboja and the lands minister have been given, has moved to the various campuses like Agboja has moved to the roads. That somebody's worried about. But he's happy that the commissioner, the rent commissioner, is moving to the campuses because he's going to be a beneficiary. That kind of double standards is not useful.
But when the roads are constructed, I'm a beneficiary of it.
But Vincent told you to argue that, so you are doing
but
that.
Why
Vincent has not yet told you about the campus ones, so you are using your personal
why do we do identity politics? Why don't I have a mind of my own? Why?
But you mostly can preach Vincent's listen, so you relax, sit in your chair.
Right.
Relax.
Let me go to.
No, so the discovery is that they are charging exorbitant rates, and the commissioner is going to apply the law. Very soon, this will be a thing of the past. So please rest assured.
I'll come back to you on how quickly that will become a thing of the past.
Let me first commend the commissioner for whatever job he's doing. The current actions he's taking are already embedded
3FM
in our constitution. They are in our law books.
92.7.
That before a landlord or a hostel facility manager increases utility, he or she must consider various factors. Unfortunately, those individuals have not heeded to the laws, and so they do things as if we are in a country that is not governed by rules and regulations as far as law is concerned. Now we have too many students but few beds, which has now become a problem on campus, that is campus accommodation. We have over a period been able to accommodate students whose number outspaces the hostel accommodations that we have. And of course, you know that it is not just about their inability to get rooms to sleep in, but the fact that they are exposed to certain risk when it comes to diseases and even security. Almost every time you hear students complaining about thieves and robbers coming to their rooms to come and steal their laptops and their phones and other belongings. And the most painful part of it is that the management are unable to do anything about whatever theft that goes on. I have people whose laptops have been stolen before. You go to police station and nothing is done. Meanwhile, specifically Legon has internal security. So we ask ourselves that, what are they actually doing? The security of students have now become a bone of contention because school authorities are unable to provide security for them. Now, if I go back to my phone, I had an extensive conversation with one of the students who have shared with me their approved fees for each academic year as far as their hostel fees is concerned. But you see, Marina, why should students pay hostel fees that is higher than their school fees? If you look at the table I have with me here, in 2020-2021 academic year, students were paying 427 Ghana cedis. For a semester, it ran through to somewhere, I think 2022-2023, they were paying same amount. Now, in 2023 to 2024, it skyrocketed to 1,054 Ghana cedis. From there, it has been moving gradually until today, where students are paying, I think about, Derek, you left there not long ago, about 3,000.
Yes, for the traditional accommodations, the ones that belong to the university.
So if traditional accommodations that belong to the university are paying this amount of money, how much do we expect the private halls to charge? As we speak, we ask ourselves that who is the voice for the students? Obviously, it's supposed to be the SRC, but the SRC gradually have comatose and been changed into political tools that politicians use instead of allowing SRC to operate in their own mandate to seek to the welfare of students. They are not doing it, but they have changed to political tools that politicians are using. What country are we building? Now, from 2020-2021, when we were charging 472 Ghana cedis, there was one vice chancellor there called Professor Ebenezer Oduro-Usu. Under his watch, you could not increase any hostel facility. You could not increase school fees without placing emphasis or considering some fundamental costs or reasons why, or be able to justify before you increase. Now they have a vice chancellor who came in 2022, Professor Nanaba
Amfo.
Yes. What has been her role in speaking for the voiceless, that is the students? Ever since she came there, hostel fees have been increased astronomically from 30, 40, 50%. And school fees continues to skyrocket. Meanwhile, I know that for such increment, it goes to Parliament for parliamentary approval. Why is it that school fees are being increased? And are we saying that our members of Parliament, our honorable members of Parliament, witnessed this increment and gave their blessings that the ordinary cocoa seller or banku seller or farmer in my village whose child have had opportunity and passed SHS to have opportunity to go to school to pay this amount of money, and they also sit in Parliament to approve this. If they know that they have not approved of any fee or any hostel facility in this period that we are talking about, they should call the vice chancellor of Legon and that of UCC, I mean all the vice chancellors of the traditional universities, to Parliament and ask them questions, because this we need questions to, we need answers to them. How come did our fees increase to this level? How come are people paying this amount of money for hostel fees? Look at students on campus. The university is unable to house even half of them. And surprisingly, there are lecturers on campus whose children are also with the traditional halls paying this amount of money. If the university itself is unable to house our children, what then do we expect private people to do? They will charge astronomically. Look at the lands we have there at Legon. There are projects that have been started. Unfortunately, we are not able to complete them because we feel we are okay and we are not going to meet or solve the immediate problems that are before us. These are challenges that people must have seen long ago. That, of course, our facilities we have in the next 5 years, if we don't add up, cannot host or house several students on campus, yet they sat aloof. In the past, we had some individuals, including our own Minister for Education, Honorable Aruna Idrisu, and his colleagues who were on Legon campus.
Leading the charge, eh?
Leading charges and demonstrating because they've been given or they've been fed with chicken for a very longer period of time. And at that point, they needed egg. They went on demonstration.
92 points.
They demonstrated. Today, our brothers and our young sisters are not able to demonstrate, but rather their parents must have to suffer to cough out these huge sums of money for them to get accommodation. But you see, you know what it brings? All these things brings academic defects.
People who cannot pay are sleeping in classrooms in Legon. And,
exactly.
And
how do you have a sound mind? How do you have a sound mind to learn and pass your academics? How possible can that be? It is impossible. Right. And so what I'm saying is that I always say that the previous generation before us, though they didn't have things on silver platter, but they had things right. They had things well organized. But unfortunately, in our time, look at the challenges that we have been subjected to. Look, if we don't rise up to speak against some of these things, our children and our children's children will come and insult us. I'm sure by then we may be alive, which will be a bad thing for us.
A minute each, and then we take the show.
Well, I think the exploitation of the students is the wrong thing. Private persons are exploiting the accommodation problem. The government needs to up its game in terms of increasing accommodation facilities on campus. At least the last two gave a lot of land for the University of Ghana. It's a large space. In fact, there's been encroachment on all sides, and some government, because the Legon acquisition is really huge. It's huge. It goes beyond what the Legon campus is. The Legon acquisition is huge. I would advise that the last two should partner with the states to provide accommodation, find equity stakeholders to solve this once and for all.
Derek.
Okay, so in wrapping up, all that I may want to put across is that in as much as private entities are seizing the opportunities to extort students, the government must also create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Because I'm of the express opinion that when the production expenses of every business skyrockets, they transfer that onto their business, and then it is the consumers that suffers the penalties thereof or the consequences thereof. And so government must create that environment, because if I'm a hostel manager, I'm a hostel owner, and utilities have skyrocketed in about 28% in the last year, water is increasing, fuel price is increasing, and all of that, I will transfer that to my business, and at the end of the day, parents and students may have to pay for those amounts of money. And so the government must create that environment for our...
You mean the economy should improve?
For our businesses to thrive.
Right.
The interest rates should
Gentlemen,
the banks should lend more. I agree with you.
Mark, final word, and then
get better now.
Yes, so I think that government must really look at its budgetary priorities, where they look at funding a lot of academics than places where those academicians would have to sleep. I think it's something they need to look at very well. I want to wish a happy birthday. I don't know if I can go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, so I am wishing Inspector Rahel Mahmood of the Peki FPU a very happy birthday. And this is coming from his husband. That is Anthony Nyame. He is also with the Ghana Police at Enchi.
Did you say his husband?
Her husband, sorry.
Because of the LGBT implications, I was very concerned.
Yes, so Rahel Mahmood of Peki FPU, I wish you a very happy birthday. And in fact, this is coming specially from your husband, Anthony Nyami of the Enche Police Service.
And also, let me also do this quickly. Yesterday was my lady pastor's birthday. Lady Pastor Pearl in Safo